Hi, my name is Jim and I was retired. Suppose you're entering retirement with $1 million portfolio and you're wondering what kind of financial advice you should get. Now, a lot of people go for the 1% asset under management fee with a financial advisor. Is that the right choice? Or how about an AUM Lite, like Vanguard Personal Advisor service? That's a lot less than 1%. Or you might decide to go it alone, choose one target date fund, and be done. Or go completely DIY and invest straight in the index funds. Stay tuned to this video and I'm going to go through my thoughts on those choices, whether you should go AUM, TDF, or D.I.Y. This little thought experiment began with something I read this week on Humble Dollar. It's a great little blog and I'll put a link to this article, but check out the whole blog. It's well worth it. Dennis Friedman wrote on the blog this week that 3 years ago when he entered retirement at 67, that he was faced with that same choice. Does he go with a full-fledged asset under management financial advisor? Or, as he elected, he went with Vanguard Personal Advisor service. And, as he writes here, that he was surprised how many people used the full-fledged financial advisor, and he found that he thought it was a good idea. So he decided to hire an advisor. He wasn't looking for that 1% fee advisor, and he wanted somebody who would craft their own plan for him, and he opted again to go with the Vanguard Personal Advisor service. He had already been using Vanguard for a while and felt comfortable with the products and services. 3 years later, though, he's wondering if he should have made a different choice and choose one of the Vanguard target retirement funds to meet his goals. As this page shows, those target retirement funds are Vanguard's name for the target date funds. Well, anyway, he concludes his conversation by saying so far he's happy with the personal advisor service, but those target retirement funds sure look tempting. Well, I decided to crunch some numbers with a spreadsheet that I've shown you before in earlier videos. Let me go to that. So rather than Dennis, I'm going to do a little modeling for Joe. Joe's entering retirement with $1 million. He's age 67. I'm going to assume that he has Social Security or a pension, and he only needs $40,000 from his portfolio to meet other expenses beyond the Social Security and pension. Let's go through the numbers, and I'm going to assume the same expected annual return of 7% on a balanced portfolio. After inflation of 3%, that's a real rate of return of 4%, and an average annual return of 4.3%. And that's the model number that I'll use below. I'm going to change only the investment fee rate, since that's what we're concentrating on. And let's just model that first unattractive choice that Dennis looked at and that Joe is considering here. A full-fledged financial advisor charging 1% AUM plus the cost of the fees. And let's just assume that it's going to round up to something close to what the target date fund costs of 0.13. So that's a investment fee rate of 1.13%. As I said, he's drawing out $40,000, and this model down below shows what happens to his balance after his withdrawal, his investment return, the fees each year, and his end of the year balance. And it runs right down this. What I've done is captured at 83. say his life expectancy is 83. He's hoping he's living a lot longer than that, but let's just capture what happens at 83. If you look at this, savings at 83, he's going to have $560,000 left of his $1 million portfolio. And look at the fees that he will have paid in those years to 83. A total of $153,000 in fees going somewhere else. Well, that is quite a shocking number. Instead, let's look at the AUM Lite, Vanguard Personal Advisor service. And that comes in at an investment fee rate of 0.43. That's the 0.3% of the service plus the cost of the fund. And we're going to assume just the 0.13% of a target date fund. So again, the model now shows that he has $695,000 left at age 83, and he's only paid $62,000 in fees, almost $63,000 in fees. It's far less than a full AUM 1% plus advisor, but still a lot of money. Now, what if Dennis or Joe decided rather than use an advisor, just go with one target date fund? So I plugged that number in here, and the target date fund means the investment fee rate is going to be 0.13%. And at 83, same scenarios, he's got $758,000 of his money left in retirement to enjoy a healthy retirement. And he's only paid a little less than $20,000 in fees. But what if he decided to go completely DIY, look at the underlying funds in the 2020 fund, for instance, and do an estimated expense ratio for those funds? And I've gone through that exercise. There was one duplicate, I think, international bond fund that I collapsed into these 5 choices. But look at these 5 choices and the expense ratios, the balances using the target date funds asset allocation ratios, and the fees. And then that adds up to only an expense ratio of 0.1%. It's a little slight savings from the target date fund itself. I will tell you, you could even go better than this, and if you could get expense ratios down to 0.5% using a simple index fund, a smaller basket of maybe even ETFs, this would have dramatic savings on fees to age 83, leaving him with a lot more money in his retirement to enjoy. I'll conclude with these 2 slides that I prepared using those numbers to remind you how much the fees matter on those 3 choices. And I've left that full-fledged AUM 1% plus off this chart. Let's just look at the AUM Lite, the TDF, the Target Date Fund, or the Do-It-Yourself model, even just picking the same funds that are in the Target Date Fund. The fees go from $62,000 for the AUM Lite to a little under $20,000 for a Target Date Fund, or about $15,000 for a do-it-yourself, even just using the same funds that are in the Target Date Fund. You could have that, but by using low-cost ETFs instead. And one final chart, and how much money is left for Joe in his retirement. Let me jump over to this slide and show you that using AUM Lite, he has about a little less than $700,000. Using the TDF model, he has a little over $750,000. And if he did it himself with just using the same funds that are in the Target Date Fund, he'd have about $15,000, $16,000 more, but he'd have to do the rebalancing once a year on his own. So I come back to my original question. What is the smarter move? Should you go with a AUM, even an AUM Lite, or a target date fund? Or should you do it yourself? I truly believe that if you do your own fiduciary work, you could investigate a portfolio using low-cost ETFs like VTI, BND, and VXUS. Build a 3 ETF fund and you'll be fine at far less fees, meaning more of your retirement bucket will be for you to spend. You know, in Washington, they say a billion here and a billion there, and pretty soon you're talking about serious money. Well, in financial planning, focus on the small percentages, the fractions, the basis points, and you'll find that adds up to real money too. So make sure you take a look at the fees and model it out over your expected life to see if you're willing to part with that much of your retirement money. By the way, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. I have no special initials after my name. So take this as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another. Always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need to. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. I'll cover topics like this on managing a forced early retirement in this channel I call I Was Retired. Click on the like below and subscribe. The more you do that, the higher this will be in the search results and the more others may benefit from my ideas on retirement. Thanks.